say goodnight to the Zionists, say goodbye to Benjamin Netanyahu, and say adios to Ben Shapiro and Ted Cruz and all these pro-Zionist people that make up our American politics. For the longest time, our politicians have been owned by Israel and the Zionists. This is something that was never allowed to be said on social media, or your account would be shut down and banned. But there is something that has changed. Now you can openly talk about the destruction of Israel, the Zionists, Netanyahu, Jews, etc. You can literally openly discuss this on the internet all of a sudden. But why? It's because there is a war and Israel has lost. I knew there was something wrong when the pro-Palestine protests, even after the USAID funding was removed, they were still being funded. These people that are walking around like the ones in the guy in this video, they've been consistently protesting every day. That means they don't have jobs because protesting is their job. See, when USAID was sending money to Africa and Middle Eastern countries, they were telling you it was for transgender and gay stuff, whatever. But really, it was funding going to World Economic Forum NGOs. And what they would do is they would hire people from these countries to go to Europe to live. They would hire them to come to the United States to live, especially back when we had a porous border. They would just walk across. And the Democrats on the left and the establishment in the UK would literally pay you with cash and with free food and free housing to stay in these countries. They're paying for an invasion. The World Economic Forum has successfully, with this invasion, overrun the Jewish Zionists in Europe and here in the United States, to the point where Mandami was just elected mayor in one of the strongest Jewish strongholds outside of Jerusalem. That means they have been replaced. The war is over. The globalists have won. Now, when I say the globalists are the leaders of the Islamic push to come into these countries. They are funding it. They were funding it with USAID money. They were funding it with the International Monetary Fund because travel expenses cost. These people are regular people. They're not idiots. You must pay them. They come from countries that have millions of people. They have economies. They have workforces. These people are leaving where they're living to take a job in the United States. This is an assignment for them. They're not just coming here looking for work. They have work. That's why and their other job is to protest in these countries. I'm asking, how do you feel knowing that your country, which was owned by Israel and the Zionists, is now changing hands, and your new owners are Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum? So that means the future of your country is not going to be pushing the gay, LGBT, whatever agenda. They are going to promote the transgender and the transhuman agenda. That's coming up next. The question is, what happens to the rest of the world? There will be a two-state solution in Palestine, but Israel proper will shrink. I don't know. I know Netanyahu is scheduled to go to prison, and I don't know what's going to happen to the Zionists in America who just love Israel so much. What do you do when there is no more Israeli government for you to bow down to? Because if once Netanyahu goes to prison, the next leader of Israel will also be a globalist. He will no longer be a Zionist. He will be under the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab. So then what will the American Christian Zionists do? Well, they showed their hand by doing that to Charlie Kirk. That shows that they were desperate. They knew that the globalists were taking over, and that last little bit of Christian Zionist influence with the youth, they knew Charlie was going to turn that influence to be pro-Palestine and against Zionism. So what did they do? Before he could officially make that change, they took him out and replaced him. So now they still have the influence, but they have to come up with a new leader. Leaders like that are not just created, they're born. Charlie was born to do that job. You don't just put somebody in front of a camera and they have the natural charisma. See, when you're in those type of positions, not only do other people got to believe what you're saying, but you have to believe it. People have to know that you are genuine and authentic. Why do you think so many of us like Nick Fuentes and we despise Ben Shapiro? Ben Shapiro is done. The Daily Wire is going to go bankrupt. Do you know how much of a fall from grace that was? It was barely 2 years ago that Daily Wire was at the top. They were literally doing shows with Timcast. But then when they got scared and spooked, they fired Candace. See, thinking that you could just fire people and scare them into submission, it never works long term because you have to keep the pressure applied at all times. And nobody has the resources to focus and do that. You got to let things go naturally. That means they were going against the current. Therefore, they don't have much time left. I want to play this video just so you can understand where we are as a nation and that we no longer have control of our country. This is the kicker. In any other situation, just like when it came to Iran and Israel had the Americans attack, that made Israel the envy of the world. When the world noticed that Israel, a country the size of New Jersey, could get a behemoth like the United States to attack another sovereign nation that wasn't threatening them on their behalf, it made them the envy of the world. The World Economic saw that power. The world knew that Israel has that control. The World Economic Forum wants that power and control over the American arsenal. But America cannot be beholden to two masters. There can only be one king. The World Economic Forum is usurping Israel, Netanyahu, and the Zionists, and they are taking their place. This is more proof of what's happening. Take a listen.
Did you travel far for this event today?
Excuse me?
Did you travel far?
Yeah. From New York.
Oh, from New York.
Yeah,
Okay.
New York is a beachhead. You know what a beachhead is? A beachhead is when you're in a war and you set up an outpost in enemy territory. So that way you can have a base and then you guys can regroup. You're establishing yourself closer and closer in enemy territory. New York is the beachhead for the globalists. That's their first enclave and it's on the coast. I would have thought it would have been New York with Ilhan Omar, but that's too far into the interior. They need a beachhead on the coast. They couldn't do California because if anybody's going to make a beachhead there, it'll be the Chinese. But they put it on the East Coast in New York.
What does your sign mean?
It says Allah is gathering all the Zionists for the final solution.
Allah is gathering all of the Zionists for the final solution. He is correct. Remember, the World Economic Forum is coordinating this push of Islam into the United States. Now, I don't know what the globalist plan is to control the Islamic Muslim population because the Islamic Muslim population is conservative. Right now, because of feminism and a weak tolerance, overly tolerant Christianity, our country has fell apart. We have no more families. Our birth rates are in the gutter. Our marriage rates are in the gutter. And everything is either gay or confused or falling apart. You can literally shame people into giving up everything. The country is literally in shambles, and we're just holding on by a thread. Islam will, when you have Islam coming in with a dominant patriotic culture, and you're removing police, well, that means that women are going to be the number one people in danger. Women will eventually have to start coming back to men and coming back to their families. No more divorcing your husband, giving up your kids, suing him for alimony because, well, you don't need your husband. You have the government to give you food and you have the police to protect you. Police will be a thing of the past. You will no longer be able to lean on law enforcement anymore. You can thank the Black community and George Floyd for that. As of today, if you try to arrest somebody that's Black, even if they are 100% guilty, you can be called racist, you can be called oppressive, and you can be sued and lose your job. I'm watching video after video of white officers with a Black criminal, and they have to literally call for backup, not because they need more help, but because they need a Black officer on the scene to apprehend this person, touch them, and put them in handcuffs because they can no longer do it. Our police can no longer do their jobs. So when you're a woman and you're being attacked on the subway, attacked when you're walking home, attacked when you're leaving work, it's a dangerous world for women if you're a man. And now the influx of people from other cultures into the United States is going to be the same as in the UK. In the UK, they have something called grooming gangs where they just go around and look for girls. There will be that's something that would happen in any society if there wasn't police. Now you have a patriarchal society that's coming in and usurping the matriarchy that we have now because, let's be honest, Black culture is ran by women, and Black culture has replaced American culture as the dominant culture in the United States. Islamic culture is going to upend Black culture. So now family will be returned. Conservative values will be returned. Christianity has been too tolerant. You can walk into a church and see a gay trans pastor now. That means there is no morality. There are no standards. There's no boundaries. There's no barriers. That means anything goes. For a pragmatist or for a man who needs structure to protect his family, to protect his woman, and to build his future, you absolutely need structure. And without order, there's chaos. We will restore order. Right now, the enemy of Christianity is feminism. The natural enemy of Islam is feminism. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Islam and Christianity will have to come together. Feminism was pushed by the Zionists. The gay agenda pushed by the Zionists. The books that were burned in the 30s were books created by Magnus Hirschfeld and the Zionists about transgenderism, children being sexual as kids, and all that nonsense. And it's literally made a resurgence today. Back then, that society by the Zionists, when the pendulum swung back the other way, created the Nazis. Now, because the Zionists going so far left again, the natural pendulum swing will be the introduction and the mass spreading of Islam. That's why the number one religion that men are converting to is Islam, because it's in our nature. We want family, we want children, we want wives. Unfortunately, here in the United States, you can't take a wife. These women do not qualify to be wives and mother anymore because of the culture. It's anti-family, it's anti-man, it's anti-children, it's pro-death, pro-abortion, pro-divorce, pro-debauchery. There's no future in it. So yes, we've lost 2 generations of women and families, but we can make up for it, go forward. The way it works is God, country, and family. We no longer have families in our country. We know how to have strong families. So we've lost our country and we've no longer been able to see God. The introduction of Islam and the World Economic Forum will bring God back into perspective. However, we do know that the transhuman agenda of the World Economic Forum is anti-God. So I'm not sure how we're going to reconcile those 2 differences, being that the World Economic Forum is in control of this mass invasion of Islam and the Muslims. We're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But I want you to leave me a comment and let me know what you think about the hands of your country being given over to the World Economic Forum and taken away from the Zionists. Do you think that's going to be a net positive or a net negative? In my opinion, in the short term, it is a positive. I guess we're going to just have to, we're replacing an enemy that we know. with a new enemy that we don't. But I guess we're going to have to figure it out. Oh, and one last thing. Typically, when there's a takeover, when you're going after the Zionists, the Americans will come in and help. I think I know why the Americans are no longer going to be able to come in and save the Zionists. This is something called cyber polygon. And this is what the globalists threatened to do to the United States if we came in and tried to save Israel and the Zionists. Take a listen.
Pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
That's your new boss. That's Klaus Schwab. This threat of a major cyber attack that would wipe out the entire American infrastructure and set us back to the early 1900s by destroying our grids, it's a real threat. The World Economic Forum has prepared for it. And I think that's what they're holding over the United States' head and why we're not going to jump in and save the Zionists. The way we came in to save the Zionists from Iran and save Israel from Iran, they put this up to our heads and they said, we'll pull the trigger if you jump in and interfere. This is between the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, against the Zionists and Benjamin Netanyahu, and the United States was told to stay out of it because of the cyber polygon. You know, when I seen that video a couple years ago, I was like, well, what is this all about? Why would they be showing us this and making this threat? They wanted us to stay out of this fight. And as far as I can tell, the United States is not going to help. I'm seeing less and less Zionists talking publicly. This man is literally allowed to talk about the destruction of Israel on TV, and no one's going to stop him. This video is not being taken offline. I'll let him finish, actually.
What is that? A mushroom cloud?
Yeah, just like we're saying that Allah is going to destroy them, the Zionist state, because they're oppressing the Muslims.
Okay, yeah. Is that like a nuclear bomb or something?
I don't know what's going to happen, but it's like an example of what Allah is going to do, Allah's destruction. We don't know how it's going to happen.
Okay. What does your flag mean there?
It says there is no God but Allah. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah.
Okay. Got it. Can I ask, do you have a job?
It's not relevant. It's not relevant.
The answer is that is his job. He's at work. So it's not relevant. I wish he would have just asked more questions about the plan, but these are low-level people that are on the streets. They're doing what they're told, but they understand the mission. The mission is to bring Islam into the United States and to completely gut out the Zionist Israeli influence over the government here so that the World Economic Forum and the globalists can now have control over the American arsenal the same way Israel had, past tense, control over the American arsenal. And this is all happening in our lifetimes, and this is happening fast. This might be over by New Year's. The question is, the loudest Zionist in the country is Benjamin Shapiro. And then you have Josh Hammer. I don't know what is to become of them because they seem to be inconvenient. They seem to be in the way. So I don't know if they're going to try to put them in prison. I don't know if they are going to say that they came down with some kind of sickness or some kind of disease. But I don't see these prominent vocalist, Israeli first people still being just left alone while this transition is taking over. Remember, this is a communist, technocratic, techno-communist takeover. The people that know how to win these type of revolutions, once the communists take over, they have to wipe them out because they know how to do revolutions and they could revolt against the incoming power structure. Why do you think Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes and myself, all of a sudden we're being pushed when typically because we were speak ill of the Zionists, we would be suppressed. Why are they pushing us all of a sudden? Why all of a sudden are my views and followers in the thousands now, but at one time I was only getting 2 or 3 views per video. It's because we are just ahead of everyone else. We're ahead of the curve. We see where this is going, and it's our job to explain to the public what is happening so that the transition can be a little bit smoother. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to walk you through this. I see where this is going, but also I'm here to point out the net positives. The net positive is you'll be able to marry a woman in your home country again in the near future. You'll be able to have a wife and children, and the women will appreciate you and respect you because you will be her only source of protection. Reality is going to win. There is no living in these fantasy worlds anymore. The veil is coming down. The illusion is already broken. This whole losing EBT for a month just shows you how many people, women, especially in this country, depend on the government to be their man. This country was not built to replace men with the government. Traditional values will be coming back one way or another, and Islam will help us get there faster. Unfortunately, the Zionist push to destroy families and to pervert our kids put us back a few years, but guess what? We have plenty of time to make up for it going forward in the future now that we see what's happening. Andrew Tate was on to something. He was right. So that's why a lot of men are converting to Islam. It just makes sense for us. Christianity became too tolerant. And you can't just say any and everything goes. You know, the next step in Christianity was accepting, what basically Scott Wiener was doing in California. They passed bills saying that if the guy is 50 years old and gay and the kid is 10 years old and gay, they no longer have to register on the sex offenders list. We're going to do a video about that next because the woman from Gold's Gym went to Scott Wiener, the guy who made the bills to protect pedophiles, and thought he was going to help her, which is hilarious, insane, and refreshingly ironic. So do me a favor, tune in for the next video. I'll be back to keep you guys up to date and explain to you everything that's happening. I got 3 other news stories tonight to go over, and then we'll call it quits for the evening. I'm going to have dinner, and then we'll get started again tomorrow. I've been under the weather, but I'm coming out of it. I do this for you guys. I really do appreciate you guys tuning in and watching this and sharing the video. The Single Boyfriend, Right Wing Rico. Follow me on all platforms, but my main page is on YouTube, The Single Boyfriend. Follow me there, and follow my shorts as well. I share a lot of them. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you again shortly. America first, America only. Cheers.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.